Hi there, this is Jim Scano with jimscano.com. Today I wanted to go over using Evernote with the Getting Things Done methodology as written in David Allen's book, Getting Things Done. Now, Evernote, as I'm sure you know, is one of the hottest companies going right now. They've developed an online and offline resource for collecting information that you have throughout your life, and it can be personal information, work information, and when I say information, I mean like notes, to-do lists, reference material, pictures, audio, you name it. Evernote is just an incredible resource that you can use online and offline to collect and gather and help you stay organized. Now, the beauty of this product is if you use it with David Allen's methodology from his book Getting Things Done, it can provide to be even more valuable. So I don't want to get into David Allen's book and how he explain his whole methods, or all of his methods. But so I'm going to have to assume that you already have read that book, and if you haven't, definitely grab it, read it, grab the audio book, something. And then just like I'm not going to get into Evernote and exactly how to use Evernote specifically, but what I am going to go through in this video is how to use Evernote with the Getting Things Done methodology, or at least how I've set mine up. So just a real quick review. Remember in David Allen's book, kind of the premise behind the whole thing is he's got 5 phases of getting things done in your life. And that's home life, work life, any part of your life. And the five basic phases of getting things done is to collect information, process the information, organize the information, and review the information. Now, and do the information. Now, I'm going to go over the collect, process, organize, and review. The do part is up to you. I can't help you with that. But I am going to show you how Evernote can at least cover those first 4 phases and help you stay organized. So let's switch over to Evernote, and I'm going to show you how I've got my Evernote application set up, and we'll go through that. So here's my Evernote application for Windows. I mean, you can see I've just got a big hodgepodge of notes right here on my screen. And on the left hand side you'll see my different notebooks and my different tags, and there we go, my different notebooks and my different tags. Now, the first phase of David Allen's methods is to collect all of your information. So basically you need to have just one big collection box, so whenever you have notes or reference material or things to do or whatever, it all goes into one box basically. And what I've done is I've created a notebook called Collection Box. So anytime I have some reference material that I don't want to go through and organize it all, every single time I get a new piece of information. So you put it all into that collection box, and then maybe once or twice a day, you go through your collection box and you organize it, just like you would if you had an inbox on your desk. You get that inbox information, and then a couple of times a day you go through your inbox and reorganize it and put it in the file or folder or project folder that it needs to go in. Same thing at home. So in Evernote, what I've done is I've created a notebook called Collection Box, and I've made it my default notebook. So anytime I just jump into Evernote and create a quick note, it's automatically going to go to that collection box until I process it later, which we'll talk about. Now, to make it my default notebook, what you do is you create the notebook, and then you just right click on it and go over here to where it says Properties, and then make sure that it says make this my default notebook. And then what that's going to do is make whatever notebook you've selected there your default notebook. So whenever you email, and one of the most powerful things I've found in Evernote is that, like, if I get an email, I can just forward it to my Evernote account, and then it's there in my collection box next time I open up Evernote. So then I can decide what I need to do with it. Maybe it's just a reference material that I need to save for later for a project, or maybe it's an actionable item that I need to deal with today or sometime this week. So there's my collection box. Then the other 2 notebooks that I have are simply a Getting Things Done notebook and a reference material notebook. And that's pretty much it. 3 notebooks for all the notes in my entire life, family, work, or otherwise. My Getting Things Done notebook, anytime I get a new piece of information, whether it be an email or web clipping or an article or whatever, I'm going to put it into, when I go to process my collection box, when I sort through the notes in my collection box, I'm going to put it into one of these 2 notebooks, either my Getting Things Done notebook, which tells me that this is an actionable item, something that needs to be done, or something that needs to be done with this information or with use of this information. And then the other one is reference material. So any piece of reference material that's not an actionable item, but something that I want to save, such as here's a picture of a bottle of wine that I wanted to keep. I wanted to keep that label so next time I'm in the wine store I can pull up my favorite wines and then I know exactly which one I like. So reference material, this could be specs on a particular product. This could be a great article that you read about article marketing. This could be anything that you can think of that you want to save. And if you think of these two notebooks as sort of like filing cabinets. So here's my filing cabinet of things that I need to get done. Here's my filing cabinet of reference material. And again, across my entire life, family, work, or otherwise. Okay? So when I process my information, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my collection box and I'm going to see what information is in my collection box. Here I have a couple of notes. Here's a note that I emailed to myself. I got in an email and I forwarded it to my Evernote account. So I need to decide what I need to do with that. And then here's another note that I made. Somebody told me about a great pool guy. We're looking at putting in a pool. So here's a great pool guy. So from Always Tropical Pool. So here's just a note that I made to myself, and I want to sort through it. I want to file that as reference material. Okay. So here's an actionable item over here on the left, and here's a note that's really just a piece of reference material that I want to reference later. So once I process this information and decide what notebook it needs to go to, I also need to decide how I want to separate that information. And instead of separating all my information in notebooks, I simply use tags. I think they're a little bit easier to use. So let's take a look at the different tags that I have. I have 4 primary groups of tags set up. One is my Getting Things Done tag. This is obviously for actionable items, things that need to be done. Okay. Within that Getting Things Done tag, I have these sub-tags, and these are actually the tags that I use. I don't use these primary tags. I use the sub-tags when I'm tagging my notes. So here's Next Actions. There's a tag for Next Actions. Here's the Someday Maybe tag. This is a tag for a piece of material or something that I want to do. I want to get it done, but I don't want to do it right this minute. And then here's a tag, and here's a tag for things that I need to actually do or read or get done today. Okay. Now notice you're only getting one here because I'm selecting reference materials. Let me go back and select all notes, and then as I go through these, you'll see that it's pulling up anything marked today that's in any of these boxes. Okay. So anyway, there's my Getting Things Done. These are again actionable items marked with how important they are to get done. Okay. Below that, I have tags set up that I call context of where. In other words, that particular note or that particular actionable item, when is it or when can I do it? Is it something that needs to be done when I'm at home? In other words, organize my closet, or is it something I need to do at work, such as contact somebody about a particular project? Or is it a call that I need to make? Maybe it's an email and somebody said, hey Jim, make sure you call this person regarding this project. Well, that would be a call that I need to make. So the beauty of marking your notes in a context of where, it allows you, when you're on the run, to pull up things based on where you're at that particular moment. So let's say you're out running errands and you're run by the grocery store and you pick up some food for dinner. Well, while you're out, you don't want to forget that you need to also pick up something at the hardware store. So what you can do is any notes that you make to yourself, you can mark them as errands. That's what I do. So as I'm out driving around, I go to the grocery store, I can pick up my phone, click on my errands tag, and then it's going to pick up anything else that I might be able to do while I'm out, such as drop off dry cleaning, run to the hardware store, or whatever. So that's the context of where tags. Then I have my projects. So whether it's an actionable item or a non-actionable item, it doesn't matter. If it's related to a particular project, then I'm going to mark it with that project as well. This can be home projects, work projects, it doesn't matter. So projects, I have active, closed, and inactive. And then below that, here's my active projects, and then here's my inactive projects. Okay? Now you may notice, like in my context of where, I have a colon in front of all of the context of where tags, and I have a period in front of all of the project tags. The reason is, and I'll show you in just a minute, when you're adding your tags, it makes it a lot easier to add your tags when you're able to just click on the period button and it brings up a list of your projects. When you're tagging with the context of where, if you just click on your colon, it'll bring up all of your context of where tags, and I'll show you that in just a second. Finally, I have my reference material or non-actionable item tags. Reference material, I've got these broken up into home, work, and life. You'll notice that I have 01 home, 02 work, 03 life. I did that purposely just so that they would be organized home, work, and then life here on this little sidebar. That's just really, again, just so that they're in that particular order. That's why I labeled those. No other reason for it. So if I open up home, I can see that I have some entertainment tags, some exercise tags, and tags related to kids. And then, of course, this is just a small notebook, so I could add many, many more to that. I could add recipes. I could add, favorite wines. I could add, whatever I wanted to do there. Same thing with work. Here's articles, marketing. Here's some articles for workflow that I've tagged, other resources, and that's probably not very specific, but, you get the idea. So when I process my information, I determine, first of all, whether it's an actionable item or an inactionable item out of my collection box. And then I put it into one of these two notebooks, and then I tag it based on actionable items here, context of where, and of course the project that it relates to. And if it relates to a project, it may not. And then if it's reference material, then of course I put it in my reference material and mark it as to which specific part of my life this reference material is related to. So it's actually pretty simple. So let me go through and let's take a look at a couple of notes that are in my notebook right now. I've got an email that came from somebody and I need to do something with that. So I'm going to process these two notes that are in my collection box, and I'm going to open this one up. And the first thing that I want to do, this is an actionable item. I need to email this person back. So I'm going to move this to my Getting Things Done notebook because, again, it's an actionable item. Now what I want to do is I want to add some tags to it. Okay. First of all, this is something that I want to get done today. So remember my tags over here, Getting Things Done, my Today tag. So I want to add the tag Today. Well, I need to get that done today. And then the next thing I want to do, context of where am I going to be able to do this? Can I do this while I'm driving? Well, not really. This is really something that needs to be done at work. And this context of where is really just kind of an option, but I like to use it. So I'm going to type in, notice when I hit my colon, it brings up all my context of where. That's why I add that colon there. So I'm going to say at work, this is something I need to do when I'm at work. Okay. And then the last tag that I'm going to do is I'm going to tag it with what project is it related to. So I'm going to just hit my period button. Notice it brings up all of my projects. That's why I add that period in front of the project names. So this has to do with the EMS Success Project, so I'm going to click on that. And that's it. So I put it in the actionable items. I've told it what project it's related to, when I can do this particular action, and when it needs to be done. So I close that, and now it's out of my collection box. Here's another one that I want to deal with. This is again, like I said, this is a reference that I want to reference maybe later about a pool or a particular pool company. So what I do is I'm going to open this one up. This is going to go in my reference material. Then all I'm going to do is I'm going to click and add a tag for it. But before I do that, let's go back and take a look at the different tags that I have for reference material. This has to do with home, but I don't have one for pools, or I guess we could call that home improvement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a tag for home improvement. So I'm going to click on, I want it to go within this group called home. So I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to right click and say create tag in home, or O1 home. And then this tag I'm going to call home improvement and hit OK. Now I've got a home improvement tag. So go back to this note, click on tag, and I'm just going to call it home improvement. And that's really it. It's reference material. It goes in the reference material notebook, and it's with the tag home improvement. So I'm going to close that. So now, anytime I want to pull up home improvement notes, go to all notes up here, click on home improvement, and there we go. If I want to pull up any notes related to a project, I can click on the project and it brings up any notes related to that project. So that's how I use tags and notebooks, and it works really, really well. Now what I can do is I can create saved searches. Now let me delete this one so I can show you how to do that. The easiest way that I found to create saved searches, so let's say you're out on the road and you want to know everybody that you're able to call or any calls that you need to make. Well, instead of having to rummage through your tags, what you can do is you can go to your Getting Things Done notebook, okay, and then select context of where, and then calls. So this brings that up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my, so I can see right here, these are the calls that I need to make. So I'm going to go to my saved searches and I'm going to right click on a search and I'm going to say create saved search, and it's automatically going to put in the proper query or the proper, it's going to pull up the proper information because that's what I have selected. So I've got anything that's within the Getting Things Done notebook with the tag calls. I'm going to type in this, I'm going to type in calls and then hit OK. So now if I'm out on the road or whatever, I could just go to my saved searches, click on calls, and it's going to bring up any calls that I need to make. I could do the same thing with reading material or material that I want to read. I could create a saved search. Let's go to all notes, read review, create a saved search. So I'm going to call this read review. So now when I'm out waiting, or I'm getting my hair cut and I'm sitting there waiting for 10 or 15 minutes, I can just pull up my phone, click on my save search, read review, and then I can pull up any of these documents that I have made note to myself that I want to read. And this happens to be a web clipping from an article that I found. Now I'm not going to get into again how to do web clippings and things because that's related to Evernote, kind of how to use Evernote, and we might have a video on that later. So anyway, that's how I use Evernote and Getting Things Done. It works very, very well for me. It's not for everybody. You might use this as kind of a basis to get started, and then you might be able to tweak it so it works better for yourself and your projects. But anyway, that's the way I use it. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, this is Jim from jimscano.com. If you have any questions, feel free to go to jimscano.com and email me. I'd be happy to answer them. But that's all. I appreciate your time today. Take care. Bye-bye.